it looks like we need a healing for the gut area. And the reason is that the senses of we're so used to the layers and layers. We're so accustomed for generations and from the past of the story of the soul to lean on those senses of perception. And the senses of perception are so limited. And so what we need to do is we need to open up in our physiologies the capacity to access the less limited potential for integrated understandanding of the entire field of creation, that source of creation in every single point of the division as the oneness divides into many. At every single point, we need like you could say like a sensory upgrade, essentially, that allows us to experience directly. And all that direct experience, that starts here in the gut area. Because the cord of light, right? So I'm checking as I'm saying, I'm checking everybody's cords of light. The cord of light, which connects to divinity out the top of the crown of the head, but it anchors to this core of Mother Earth down at the base, all the way into the core of Mother Earth, and Mother Earth with her cords to the sun and the stars and to the center of the galaxy and then to the center sun and so like that. So there's a big, that's like the diversified side of the spectrum of our cord of light. And the unified side of the spectrum of the cord of light is out the crown of the head. Okay, so this is very interesting. The body elemental also has a cord of light. And as I mentioned in the last webinar, it's like a big shaft of light that we're like inside that shaft of light. And it's our resonating space for all of our light medicines and all of the forms, healing forms that are created by the being. This shaft of the cord of light that's in our human physiology it coordinates, there's a coordination with the body elemental. Looks like a kind of sacred geometrical form. Looks like a matrix, but more like a matrix that's on the move. You know, if you have a mandala and it's just like a kind of a wholeness, any kind of circle is like a wholeness in itself. But if you put energy through it, what happens is it stretches out like that and becomes a cord, right? So there's this, I'm seeing it's unfolding for me visually right now. And so I just describe what I see as this, as our cord of light kind of opens out into the creation. It opens out in a Dumru shapes. Dumru shapes are kind of like vortexes. You know, it's like it's big and then it collapses down to zero and then it opens back up like that. It spins. Yes, thank you. It spins. Exactly. So, because when the force, because it's wholeness like that, foldings, consciousness folding in on itself like that. But when you put some punch behind it, it goes like this, right? So this in the cord, our cord, and also the cord of the body elemental, at the same time are a little bit like, they have a fractal relationship. So, you know, in a fractal, you've got an overall shape, like what is that turtle? The turtle of the Mandelbrot, right? You've got the basic turtle shape, and then you've got inside littler turtles and inside littler turtles like that. So this cord of light that runs through our body is like a littler turtle inside the turtle of the body elemental, or inside the cord of the body elemental. And so all of them are also containing this spinning vortex type of vortexes that meet up with each other, right? So the points meet and then the big sides meet like that. And my question is, I have to formulate a good question. It has to be more like a yes or no question. What's the best way for divinity to integrate in each of the points where diversification emerges? Oh, and the answer coming back is that diversification emerges when you jump from one form of the fractal to the next form. So there's like a jump, and it's a little bit like those cymatic experiments, right? Where you put the resonation under the plate with the salt or whatever sand on it, and there's a point where the resonation's just right and you get a pattern. And then if you raise the resonation to the higher level, it goes through chaos, but then another pattern emerges at the next level. So somehow we're dealing with this dynamic right now, which is that there are only certain points where the manifestation, where it goes from one level of manifestation to the next level of manifestation, like that. And it's in the chaos area where we don't quite have a form yet. It's in that area that the knowledge gets lost, that the illusion creeps in. The illusion can creep in the in-betweensies. So what that means is that that's also the place for divinity to stabilize. We want divinity to stabilize in the in-between periods, between the actual expressions of form. Looking, asking, being. Being is, source is sending back the message, well, it's always present in all of those. It's present in the gaps, it's present in the manifestations. So my next question back to being is then, how is it that illusion creeps in? And is that even illusion? And what's the role of illusion? What's the relationship? If being is present in every single part of the system, then what is the relationship between being and the illusion? Or that non-self, that sense of being separate, the sense of being separation, what is that relationship? Because it's the separation which appears from our perception to be responsible for illness and responsible for the building of the form to be imperfect. Again, I'm being shown the stretching and the closing, the Dhumru. I'm being shown the Dhumru again, that it's like a wave. A wave goes back and forth between the heart of the mother of creation and our existence. And okay, more information is coming. And it's like the mother of the universe is saying, the thing is, I adore you so much. And the form of being in the human body with the limitations of the human nervous system, limitations of human senses, is always going to be looking at my love and my manifestation in some compartmentalized way. Always, always, always. And so it's not an easy thing as a human to fully embrace the degree to which we are loved. Okay, we can accept that, especially if we're suffering, not feeling as loved. There's pain, right? So, so the back and forth is a kind of a massaging, like the breath, of the relationship between this unbounded, complete dedication of wholeness into its own structure and nature, and then all the diversified forms of it out in the relative. And I'm looking at that and I'm saying, but Ma, how do we get rid of the suffering? How can we make that cycle complete with, as humans, because we're smart, we have intention. We talked about this yesterday. We're all over here going like, we're just doing the best we can. So like, we're literally doing our best. Why also the suffering? There is a gem. I am seeing it. I am seeing it. I am seeing it. It's very abstract right now, but it's rising to the surface. It essentially has to do with yagya, but it has to do with the way in which we perform action. And it's an integration of Dharma, the 4 pillars of Dharma, and Dharma in its wholeness, into those gap areas. Okay, well, that's easy, right? We can totally do that. So can we put the Dharma Matrix, which is like a fractal in form of Dharma, right? You can go to my website and look under the knowledge base under Dharma to see an MC Escher drawing that's very, very similar in structure to the Dharma Matrix. So that can go into the areas, the gappy areas between the manifested forms. And that's happening for everyone. And I'm just checking out into our field. That's happening for everyone. And I'm checking and I'm checking and I'm checking. Everyone, everyone, everyone. I am also seeing a little bit of a line. I say seeing, but I'm feeling a little bit of a line of connection from the heart down to the solar plexus and then down below the solar plexus into the second chakra. So I'm seeing a line of energy right there. And I think that's a spot. The reason that's lighting up is that's a spot in our physical bodies where we've been, where the layers of disbelief, the layers of feeling like, no, I'm not divinity, I'm just something pathetic, that's been gotten stuck in the system. So they're gently, gently attending, gently supporting that area also to receive this Dharma Matrix. And as I'm seeing that, I'm seeing it running down the body and stabilizing in the pelvis as well. And it's beautiful to have that kind of fourfold structure that's very, very stable right there in the foundation of the physical body. This is going to be great for anybody who's got structural anomalies in their physiology, any kind of weakness in the muscles, the connective tissue, or the bones, or any kind of inflammation or imbalance, pitta-like imbalances in the joints. Anybody who's got that issue going on, this is good for you. Of course, it's good for all of us on many levels, but that's the first application that I'm seeing. Beautiful. The other thing I'm seeing happening is it appears to be a sort of open flow or an open shot. I almost want to use the word shot of a flow through the entire heart chakra, just the heart chakra area, not the heart mahamarma, the chakra. And this flow it's like a cord of creation that connects directly to the heart of the mother of the universe. And so that's also establishing. And even though it's a kind of a mobile form, it has a stability in it as well. Maybe what I'm seeing is that it's able to be stabilized, founded on that Dharma matrix that we have going in the lower part of the body. That creates a foundation. And then that allows for this flow of continuous communication, you could say, with Mother Divine, with the source of creation, through the heart area. And it's very innocent. There's a lot of innocence in it. And I feel as if the heart area is washing with innocence. So innocence like a light medicine. Innocence manifesting as the flow from Mother Divine comes through the causal level of the physiology, the finest level of feeling, produces a feeling of innocence, which is washing. It's washing. And it's interesting that it's innocence. Like, I couldn't have predicted this, you guys. Oh, you're so amazing. Because what is it that makes us as individuals useful to divinity? Why is it useful to have a nervous system like this that doesn't see wholeness, that experiences one moment after another? Well, it's actually one of the great beautiful aspects of humanity is this innocence that then sets us up. It acts as a foundation for us to experience expansion of consciousness, right? You go to school all innocent, and then you learn new things, and then you take it home to your mother, and it's like, I learned A, So the innocence is what is exquisite about human nature, which allows human nature to be that instrument of divinity that supports the expansion of consciousness universally. Our experience of expansion of consciousness is expressed throughout the whole universe. It's an expanding universe. And we're holding that key in our beings. So the innocence is beautiful. So the question is, the innocence is important, but also the part where the consciousness expands is also important. And how can the expansion happen without a loss of the inherent innocence? Maybe the word innocence isn't quite the right word. That's what I'm suspecting. Because innocence kind of implies being naive. And I don't think that in the end, the expression of full potential isn't really about being naive. It's really about expanding to embrace all knowledge and to completely understand at every level of creation, right? So I'm asking, what I'm doing is I'm modeling for you guys. I'm taking what, to me, the way I understand purity. Oh, I like that. A lady is suggesting purity of being. It's beautiful.
No expectations.
Right? No expectations, which no expectations is actually one of the legs of Dharma, right? Because the leg of austerity is letting go of attachments, letting go of, you know, kind of no expectations, no attachments, no judgments, no assumptions like that. Beautiful. Well put. Yeah, I was offering, you guys are fast. You guys are fast. Okay. And just that the being wants to go through the process. We want to, as humans, we want to go through the integrative process of going from that sort of extreme purity, as our lady on the internet just mentioned, or that idea of having no expectations, no judgments, no assumptions, no attachments, that state of sort of simplicity. Here's another, just at that moment, the word simplicity. This is from Croatia. Simplicity and natural behavior will bring success. Beautifully put. Yay, Europe. So yes, that there's, I think simplicity is also good. Simplicity also is a little bit, you know, here we are struggling with the English language. You see me struggling with the English here because I'm trying to describe something that's so vast, right? But the simplicity, yes, the simplicity contains, and the purity also, the purity, and remember, purity is one of the legs of Dharma too, right? That's because we've got, just review for everyone, truth, purity, austerity, which means not attachments, and compassion are the four legs of Dharma. So that's probably why that Dharma matrix had to come in. Seeing if the Dharma matrix can sit in that area between the heart and the second chakra, that area, or somehow how those four, we actually did that once. I'm just double checking it, guys, just to make sure everything's stable for everyone. Okay. The simplicity and the purity connect together. They integrate. That's what I was going to say. Integration, very important. It's not one of the four legs of Dharma, but it's like an essential tool of energy healing. Integration. And what that does is it brings together the aspect, the qualities of divinity, along with the quality of that type of innocence that we're talking about. It brings them together as a wholeness. Because that's purity is like that innocence, right? Non-expectations is like that innocence. And yet those are also qualities of the divine. And the difference between experiencing it in a kind of like a limited human capacity where we're leaning on our senses, our gross senses of perception, and experiencing it from the side of divine being, is that from the side of divine being, truth, all knowledge is also present. No surprises. It's all there. No, I'm just watching the stabilization here. Looks like the stabilization is occurring. This Dharma thing that we did is moving up. It's moving into the cord of light. Oh, I was wondering when we would circle back to that. So it's moving into the whole cord of light, and it's stabilizing the cord. It has its like smaller vortexes, and then its larger ones, and it comes to a point here in the physiology, right, about in the heart Mahamarma area, it all collapses into this beautiful point. So there in the cord of light, feeling the stabilization of those four aspects of Dharma.